Hey everybody, welcome back to The Silver Lining. I'm your host, Juliette Valle, and today I have with me Miss Iowa 2019, the beautiful Emily Tinsman.
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here with you.
Thank you so much for being here, Emily. I love your look. I love the leopard print, like total queen, sassy. It's like a Friday morning, but she's already out here, or it's early afternoon, but still, she's slaying. So I have a couple of questions for you if you're ready.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So my first question for you is when and how you got involved with the Miss America organization, and what do you believe you've learned along the way that led you to your Miss Ohio win, or Miss Iowa win?
My journey began 3 years ago. I had heard about the Miss Iowa Scholarship Program because I happen to live in the hometown in which Miss Iowa is every summer. So I have been able to go to competitions every summer since I can remember. And it's pretty cool. In fact, my grandma was a judge one year for Miss Iowa. She's a former senator. And that was my first introduction to Miss Iowa, which is kind of bizarre. But I ended up competing after I saw the 2016 Miss Iowa competition. I knew a couple girls competing that I knew from my hometown, and I realized that the Miss America organization isn't like the pageants that you see on TV. It's not all about swimsuit. It's not all about how you look. It's about your intelligence, your scholarship, and your service. And that's why I got started in the program. I wanted to earn scholarship dollars for school. I wanted to make sure that my parents knew that I was putting in the effort to help pay for my education. And it was just another opportunity to help serve my community. So that was in 2017 when I started competing. And I've been in love with this program ever since.
So you haven't been doing it even that long, so how many times have you competed for Miss Iowa?
I competed 3 times. My first 2 years, I made top 10. And my second year, I won prelim talent. And so obviously with that momentum, I was like, I have to keep going. I was 21 at the time when I got the prelim award and was top 10. I was like, I have a few years to go even. So I was not ready to stop. And that final year, I just let go of what I thought Miss Iowa needed to be. And I was just me.
I really, really like that. I think that a lot, even me too, I'm not excluding myself from this statement. I think especially when we're in, portions of the competition, like interview, we go in there thinking, oh, I want to give the answer that I think they're going to like the best. But I know that most trained judges can see right through that. So the fact that you are very authentic, you're very authentic now, and you're always like so bright and sunny. Like from the first time I messaged you, I'm like, oh, she's so nice, and you're just the same. So clearly authenticity is important to you, and I'm sure that's why you won. And third time's a charm because now you're Miss Iowa, so congratulations.
Thank you. And it's kind of bizarre to think that I've almost won it twice now, that we're going into the second year, which is exciting and really unique about this year.
Yes, it's a very unique year. I'll give it that. And you have a very unique and cool opportunity. So my second question, so you mentioned to me that you've competed 3 times for Miss Iowa, so you've served 3 local titles under the organization. How did those years of service impact you? How do you think they shaped you as a person? And how do you think they prepared you for your biggest year of service yet as Miss Iowa?
My first year, I reigned as Miss Cedar Valley 2017. And I think that first year, I was really just trying to get my toes wet in the program. I was one of only 4 girls that hadn't competed at Miss Iowa before. So I kind of felt like I had no idea what was going on. And I was enjoying the process. And by the second year, I was like, I really want to delve deeper into our platform, or now our social impact initiative, and really create a brand for myself. So that was my goal for my second year as Miss Eastern Iowa. I also wanted to try out classical music as my talent. So my second year was really just about trying to expand myself and my abilities in all different phases. And then that third year, I was Miss Wild Rose, and that was
I love that. That's such a pretty title.
that was our state flower. So funny thing about that, I don't know if they do this in Florida, but we have a sweeps competition or an
Yeah.
at-large, and that's what I did my third year. I don't know why, because it was the last one of the year and that was when I was available, but that's what happened. But that third year, like I said, I wanted to go in being my most authentic self. A cool thing about that year too is I reused my talent song, and I'm not afraid to say it. I reused my song. I won that prelim talent. I was like, this works
Yes,
for me.
you did. Woo!
And I wasn't afraid to do it again. And I won prelim talent again. So that's something unique about my year. I didn't redo my wardrobe my third year, and I just worked on showcasing who Emily Tinsman is and my brand, which is an advocate for arts education.
I think that is very great advice. You don't have to go in there changing necessarily what you do or what you wear, but if you just present yourself, that's clearly the key. When I won my first Miss title, I had, lost a local before that. I was very discouraged, trying to figure out what to do. And my talent is classical voice as well. But when I went in there thinking, what is the most authentic way I can approach interview? That's when I felt my best. And that's when I ended up winning. So maybe that's the key. Who knows? That's just some Emily Tinsman wisdom right there.
And I can still remember, even from my state interview when I won Miss Iowa, they asked me this specific question.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to choose between teaching music next year as you've planned, I already had a job lined up at that point, and being Miss Iowa, what are you going to say to your principal when you have to turn them down? And I almost broke down in tears because I hadn't even considered that, is the fact that I can impact my own state, or I can impact those 400 little kiddos that I would have for the school year. And I think that's when I realized the amount of impact you could make with this title when you put it into perspective.
I tell all the people I'm interviewing, I'm a stalker. It's what I do. It's how I find my information for research purposes, Emily. And I was stalking you, reading all about you, and I read an article. It was so sweet. You were like, I'm scared to tell the principal because I haven't really figured out a way to do that yet. And they were like, this is our new Miss Iowa. And you're like, what do I say to my boss? So I thought that was so funny. I loved that. But I mean, yeah, you've impacted so many people, not just statewide, but the kids that you teach in your classroom. And I think that there's a certain discipline that when it comes to teaching, I'm not a teacher like you by any means, but I grew up as a dancer, and, I would assist all the time in dance camp, and I love kids, but being around them and getting them to listen is not easy. So you must be a very patient and understanding person.
I'd like to think so. So my favorite appearances that I get to do as Miss Iowa are my preschool story times. And I've done about 45 of them this year because I love it. And people are like, how do you deal with the 3 and 4-year-olds? I'm like, it's just fun. I mean, it's organized chaos, really.
I love that. So my next question is about your education. Your undergraduate major was music education at Drake University. And I want to know what prompted you to pick that career choice. How did you get involved in music?
Mm-hmm. My musical experiences began at an early age, like most people, when we take music class or art class. And funny enough, my dad is a singer. He was in musicals all the time. He was in church choir. And when I was 10 years old, he took me to audition for my first musical. And I got in. We were in Seussical the Musical. I was a Who. My dad was the Grinch. And that
I love that so much. Oh.
So that was my first real introduction to performing and music making. And I just loved it. From there on, I was in show choir, any choir. I was in band. I was in literally everything. And a really big turning point for my music education came when I was a senior in high school. I worked so hard over 4 years to make the Iowa All-State Choir. That was the big goal for any singer in the state. I didn't make it. I was cut.
Wait, I'm sorry I clapped. I really thought you were going to get in.
There we go. I realized I had put all of my energy into that one goal for it not to happen. And I wanted to make sure that no kid ever felt like their goals were unobtainable, or that they weren't good enough because they didn't reach something. So that's why I wanted to be a music educator, was to be there for the kids that don't get every success that they try to go for the kids that don't make the honor choir. I want to be that person for them. And now I get to do that with my middle schoolers this fall.
I think that almost made me like emotional because I did choir, I did drama growing up. And you know, when I felt that way, I just wish I had a teacher approach me the way that you just approached that. You use your own personal, experience where you didn't make something, and instead of being negative about it and hating it and letting that fester, you said, you know what, I'm going to be different. I'm going to inspire kids, and I'm going to give them an opportunity that when I felt, I didn't get that opportunity. I think you turned it around and made it the best thing possible. So I love that so much. I think that's the best thing you can do with that type of experience.
And now I get to say, even if I didn't make that choir 6 years ago, I went to Miss America. You never know.
That's true. That's a little bit of an upgrade. And I mean, no shade to whoever that choir director was, but sir or miss, you missed out because I heard your talent and it was bomb. Useless. So, their loss. But we're not petty here. I mean, you're not. I am. I'll be petty for you. So I did watch your talent online. It was fabulous, truly. You looked fabulous. You sounded fabulous. How did you get started in classical vocal performance?
So my intentions with music was not necessarily to sing classical music, but when you go to school for music education, that's what you study. Yeah. I wanted to be an elementary music teacher, which doesn't necessarily require the most amount of technique, but I'm so glad that my 4 years of college allowed me to take classical voice lessons and to help build my voice, which is pretty cool. One of my favorite parts preparing for Miss America was I had lessons with a former Miss Iowa who is a classically trained vocal instructor, and she made top 10 at Miss America back in 2011.
Oh, awesome.
And it was just so fun to get to work with her and work on my track. And I'm still proud of what I put out there, and it's still it'll be a forever memory for me.
That is awesome. And I hear a lot of girls saying, I just interviewed Miss Connecticut, that Miss Connecticut 2010 was a mentor to her, or I interviewed Miss Louisiana 2020, and she talked about how former Miss Louisiana mentored her, and now you have your own Miss Iowa. I think it's so nice that we have those big sisters in the organization, along with our like current sisters in our class. It's like such a nice, outlet to have older women who inspire you.
And one of my favorite parts about the whole COVID-19 situation is just that this organization has opened itself so wide to actually get to know the local title holders, to get to know people across the country. That never really happened before COVID-19 happened. And that makes me so happy to know that state title holders and Miss America, they aren't untouchable. We can connect, we can create relationships with everyone. And this organization really is about empowering one another.
I agree with that 100%. So I want to know all about your crowning moment. It's always my favorite part. How did you feel when you were crowned Miss Iowa? It's only a moment that girls like me can dream of. How did you feel knowing that you had the chance to represent your state? What was that moment like, as best as you can describe it? Because some girls are like, I don't even remember it, and some girls remember it vividly. So whatever you do remember, please share.
I remember parts of it. I think it's almost surreal, especially for myself and my first runner-up. Neither of us had been in the top 5 before, so this was a very new experience for the both of us. And I remember trying to talk to her and being like, oh my gosh, we made it this far. I'm so proud of you. You did it. You're Miss Iowa. And then I was like, oh no, it's me.
You're like, JK girl, great job. Gotta go get my crown.
But honestly, just like you found in that interview, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to tell my boss on Monday.
I love that.
First reaction. And then my second reaction, they actually captured this in a photo. My grandma passed away last November. She had been to every Miss Iowa competition prior to me winning. And I remember vividly like looking up and like thanking her for watching down on me, which was kind of a really cool moment because I don't remember doing it, but they captured it in a photo. So that was a pretty sweet moment.
I guess you felt that connection in that moment, which is so special.
I cried a lot. And another vivid memory is they did a post-crowning interview, and my brother wasn't initially going to come to Miss Iowa. I have a 21-year-old brother, and, you know, boys are boys.
Boys
And
are boys, girl.
he wasn't going to come. He literally snuck into the auditorium at about 8:30 that night because I'd made it into the top 10. So he snuck in. And I remember in my post-crowning moment, I'd said, my brother wasn't even going to come. I'm so proud he's here. My brother was so embarrassed that I called him out.
He's like, why are you crying? You're like, I'm just so happy. I don't even know what I'm saying. I love that. I love what you said about your grandma and how proud she must have been. That must have felt like a surreal moment to you, you know, knowing how proud you must have made her, and that now you're Miss Iowa. That's such a special moment. So now after Miss Iowa, you went to Miss America, and there's a crazy statistic. I try to quote it, but I think I mess it up all the time. Most people have a daughter, or no, most people will have a son more likely to compete in the Super Bowl than have a daughter compete in Miss America. Long story short, it's a rare thing, and you got that amazing opportunity, again, that only girls like me can dream of. What was that like? I know it was a bit different. You guys were in Connecticut, and instead of the normal 2 weeks, you had 1 week. And from the girls I've talked to, amazing experience. I mean, it's Miss America, but it's really nerve-wracking, challenging. How was that experience for you, and how do you think your sisters helped you get through that experience?
For me, it was unique in the sense of I was content being Miss Iowa. That was my goal. I wanted to represent my state, and I thought of being Miss America as just a plus.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I achieved my dream of being Miss Iowa. So I went in with this mindset of this is just a wonderful experience in which I get to share with these women across the country. So I think my mindset was very positive and just excited throughout the entire event. I just remember honestly trying to cheer on my sisters. I'm like, if you want to be Miss America, you do it, girlfriend. Like, I'm going to support you. And as long as I get my message about the importance of arts in our schools, that's what matters to me. I loved my experience at Miss America. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I really do think that I gave the best performance I could have.
I think that you said it best. No matter what, like even if you walked away as Miss America, great, or if you walked away as Miss Iowa, it's a win-win, because even if you don't win Miss America, you still get to go back home and serve your state, which was your dream, and which is the dream for most girls. Just winning your state is surreal enough, and then getting to compete at Miss America on top of it, you're a very lucky girl, and I know a lot of your sisters feel the same, for sure. So you mentioned your platform, which is all about music education and arts education. And I hear this question a lot, you know, in interviews, you know, in the pageant system, a lot of people are concerned about arts education getting put on the back burner. I know that STEAM was talked about for a long time, and now it's more like STEM, where they're cutting arts funding in many, many schools. I want to know how you feel about that. And I also want to know about your platform, what it's all about, and your message and everything in between.
Well, first and foremost, my initiative is titled Americans for the Arts, Advocate, Educate, Invest. That first part, Americans for the Arts, is the largest arts advocacy organization in the country, and they have bases in every single state. And then for me, the importance of preservation of the arts can be done through advocacy, education, and investment. So one of the biggest things that I've thought about with funding right now is because of COVID-19, so many of our arts programs are already low on funding as is. Right. But because of COVID-19 hitting, theaters shutting down, artists not being able to perform, things like that, arts is even more prevalent in our society today. Without that funding, nearly, I believe, I'm trying to quote the statistic correctly, but there are 3.2 million jobs in the creative arts sector in the country. And without funding for these programs, what happens to those 3.2 million people? I also tend to think about the arts, it leads to so many positives with our youth and for adults, from an outlet in creativity to cultural engagement, confidence, collaboration, and community. And that's the number one thing that I talk about with people is look how the arts is affecting your daily life. Whether that's listening to music, watching a show on TV, that is all art.
Right.
And it surrounds us. And for those reasons, we have to support our arts communities. The arts give back to the economy more than we put into it.
I think that what you said was so poignant, that the arts is in our everyday. I think that once it's gone, people then realize how relevant it is. Like even classical music, because I know that you've studied that and I've studied that as well. I often tell people how common opera is. Like you hear like opera music in cartoons or in commercials, and then once you hear the opera, you're like, oh, I recognize that, because you hear it all the time. You just don't realize it. And live theater is there's something so special about it. Hamilton came out on July 3rd, and I love musical theater, so it was really exciting. And of course, people are happy because they get to enjoy it in the comfort of their home. It's a really unique and great thing. No qualms about it. But there's something so unique about live art. There's something so special about the arts in general. And I think the fact that children might be deprived of that, and you as a children's music educator, that is your biggest fear, is that what if there's a child in that classroom that has a gift, whether it's musical or acting wise or artistic or what have you, they might not get to showcase that. Or even if a kid is not artistically inclined, they might not get the chance to even appreciate the arts or understand them to make them a well-rounded individual. So I think your platform is incredibly relevant, and the arts applies to everybody. People might think, oh, if I can't sing or I can't dance, it doesn't matter to me, but it does. Just like we have to learn science and math and English, the arts makes you a well-rounded, educated person.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest things that I've been working on within the state of Iowa prior to COVID-19 hitting is we developed a STEAM council within the Governor's STEM Advisory Council to help push the initiative adding arts into STEAM.
Mm-hmm.
But that has been put on the back burner right now because of COVID. But I hope that that's something we can revisit in my second year.
So, question, I have an extra question. Right now are you going to be doing online classes? I'm not sure how things are in Iowa and Florida. They're not too great with the COVID, and I'm not going back to school in person my first semester. Are you going to be teaching your kids online?
So my state is very complicated right now. I am in the largest city in the state of Iowa. I'm in Des Moines, Iowa, and we have roughly in our county about 750,000 people. Our plan for going back to school as of now is 1/3 of our kids come into school Monday and Tuesday. Another third of the kids come in on Thursday, Friday. Everybody is virtual on Wednesday, and the other third of the kids are online. So it is very complicated at the moment.
Okay.
But I will be doing online teaching. I'm unfortunately not allowed to teach choir for the time being just because of germs and singing, things like that. So I'll be teaching music appreciation and general music for the time being. And I hope we can get to some real ensemble and music making later in the year.
I wish I was a kid so I could be your student. You seem fun.
I hope so. It's my first year, so I'll have to report back.
Oh yeah, I forget how young you are. So young. Yeah, I remember like when like young teachers would come into school and they're like babies, like they can't teach us, they're too young. But now you're actually teaching babies, so yeah. But okay, so my last question for you. My show's title is The Silver Lining, and it's all about finding the positivity in every situation, which I'm sure you're like because you seem very positive. So what is the silver lining about your affiliation with the Miss America organization? What has been the most positive and important part of it all to you?
This may sound really cheesy when I answer this question, but looking back at myself 4 years ago when I started in this program, I lacked so much self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
This program has really showcased to me that I can literally do anything that I want to do. With a lot of hard work and determination, I can go beyond and reach higher goals. I have really thought about my public speaking, my talent, and just my overall presence with people and how different I am than I was at 19 years old. And I'm so grateful that this program has allowed me to just meet new people, expand my self-worth, and to just know that even a girl with curly hair that's crazy about music and the arts can go to Miss America. I think that's the ultimate reminder that I am enough, and then I have to be confident myself in any situation I put myself in.
I think what you said is so important, being confident in any situation you put yourself in. But from looking at you, I would assume, oh, Miss Iowa probably came naturally to her. She's so pretty, she's so talented. But you're sharing that, I never thought, at 19 years old, 3 years later, I'd be here. I think the most important part of the organization, this is actually the answer to this answer to this last question that I always ask, is the one I've resonated most with, because when I started at 14, which will be 5 years ago, I feel that's crazy. I feel so different now. I've grown so much. I was so afraid of public speaking, and I know you're probably surprised. You're like, she can't stop talking, but it's true. Now I love it. It's what I do. It's, I'm able to promote my platform without being afraid. And I think that's what the Miss America organization does. It shapes you into a confident young woman. And it's an honor for me to get to talk to state title holders like you, who are so gracious and so humble. You took the time out of your day to let a local title holder interview you, and I'm so grateful. But you are the embodiment of what a title holder should be. You are kind and talented and, education driven and all around just a class act. And I am very grateful to have someone that I can look up to. Although you're from a different state, I look up to all the state title holders, and I'm really grateful that you came on my show. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And it's so wonderful to hear your stories too, especially as someone also involved in the arts and what you guys are going through in a different state. This is one of the most trying times we will probably ever go through in our lifetime. And it's nice to know that we have this sisterhood.
Yes, I completely agree. And now I have a sister in Iowa. I don't have any friends in Iowa, but now I have Emily Tinsman. So I'm pretty much good. And you can hook me up because you're like the biggest celebrity there. So if you guys are not following Emily, why is my first question. And my second demand is go follow her right now, because I'm going to put her social media down below. And I can't wait to see what you do with your second year, Emily. You're a queen. Keep wearing your leopard print and your curly hair. I love it. And thank you so, so much for coming on my show today.
Of course. Thank you.
Bye.